Brother Brik.
Brother Christian,
Ready to do this?
as ready as we're going to be.
Coffee time with Coach. I'm Coach Christian,
Coach Brik.
and we're going to get into this. We're actually going to take the time right now during this podcast to film Brother Brik's, I guess, entry video or application video for Death Race, which is only a few weeks away.
Like literally 3 weeks.
Literally 3 weeks.
June 29th, a little bit more.
So, I'm not sure who ends up watching this to be the selection process, but
Yeah.
I know Andy's one of the Cryptea. So Andy, this my boy Brik, and let's get into some of his. Let's get into what it takes to qualify
Right.
for the Death Race. You could do an ultra,
And a Gogi.
an Agogi, 24-hour hurricane heat, I believe,
24, I believe so.
or some other.
There might be, I think, or another ultra endurance race.
Or some other ultra endurance or like extreme endurance event, right? So we were actually trying to do the ultra together a few weeks ago in Fayetteville, which would have been Brik's qualifier. However, broken ankle Brik broke his ankle,
I didn't break my ankle.
or something happened to
I
it.
rolled it. Actually, I'm the obstacle course training specialist. We were working and going through some movements and experimenting on something, and I just landed oddly off of one of the mats when I sent it off the bender, and 2 inches one way. So I ended up, long story short, rolled the ankle and it swelled up real bad, and then I wasn't able to participate that weekend. But 3 weeks out, it's healed quite well, and I'm running and training, and I've already done Murph and all kinds of stuff. So
We're
it's
good.
there. We're good.
We're
Ankle's good.
I think right now it's just getting through the application process.
Qualifier,
And
the
qualifier.
requirements. Yeah, the requirements.
And and when we were talking about this, I was like, look, man, yeah, you didn't get to do the ultra with us, although we still had a killer weekend. Aside from the actual race, like the whole weekend was killer.
It was amazing.
But what my brother Brik does on a regular, just for his own journey, is so much more powerful than doing an ultra or doing one of these endurance events, And I think a lot of people, probably have heard of some of the things we're going to be talking about, but maybe have a bunch of preconceived ideas and don't really know what actually is going on with that stuff. I just, I know the reason you guys have these prerequisites is because you want to make sure that the people showing up are up to the task, right? Like if you have a hard time doing a Spartan Beast, you have no business being out there
Which I've done
for several days
3, 4 of them already.
at a time, but you give yourself up for several days at a time
Every year.
or twice a year.
Every year. So it's Vision Quest is already done. It's just I focus on Sundance is the aspect that I really put my energies into every year. That's the important prayer for myself. So my aspect, that one of the reasons that Christian and I hit it off really well in the beginning is when I found the gym that he was working at, Focus Movement Academy, FMA to the heart. Always gonna remember that. Green and black forever. I'm kind of a colors kind of guy, so I relate to those things. And one of the things that I thought was amazing was like finding that location was all the mind and body aspect of it. So much mind and body work, and just like aspects of it. And my own journey has been a spiritual path that is that of the warrior spirituality. It's indigenous understanding. It's a Native American church. It's a lot of different dynamics all throughout, and it is a warrior-based religion. Spirituality. Everything revolves around these tribes that flowed and ebbed with the environments around them. Specifically the Lakota, following the bison herds across the country, living in teepees and following that spirituality, following that path of life, and having to be well-rounded. So there's a lot of aspects in their spirituality that were prerequisites to help them survive. 7 rights of the Lakota Nation. The 2 that come to mind particularly we're talking about is Sundance, and then Vision Quest, which is a rite of passage that teens would do when they were 13 and 12 years old, which requires them to find themselves on the side of put them up on the hill or the mountainside, and they sit out there 4 days 4 nights, no food, no water, nothing to distract them other than themselves. So to really come to terms with being who you are, and that's very important. That's a rite of passage that people are now experiencing in their lives as they come to these ways. But think about that. If we could offer that to our children, in that sense of, it seems so far crazy to think about putting my kid up on the side of a hill for 4 days, 4 nights, no food and water. It's like they're gonna call child services on you. So there's obviously an understanding of the mentality. Like right now, our kids aren't doing that. They're waiting because our society, we're at a different place. And then ultimately, for me, also then moving on into the Sundance prayer, which will be my 11th year now. And Sundance is, there's a lot of beautiful aspects of it. It's a really powerful prayer. It's a 4-day ceremony as well. It takes place in the middle of the summer, and I've been really blessed to be there now. Like I said, my 11th year coming up, and through the years I've found myself in positions to help with the leadership and leading lines, and that prayer requires many dynamics, and some of the stuff is kind of like kind of need to be there to know. It's kind of like Fight Club, in that way. But one of the things that a lot of people understand and are aware of is the fact that you are fasting as well for 4 days, no food, no water, while you're out dancing from sun up to sundown and going through these processes of the aspects that are needed to get through the 4 days. It's a very intense ceremony. 200 to 300 people. For where I dance, some places are small, 20, 15 people, family prayers. I'm also blessed that the dance that we take part in is one that obviously allows non-Lakota to come in and pray, because that's another thing too. A lot of these family prayers are lineage. They kept it within their structures. And when I was talking to Christian about this aspect of qualifiers, and this topic came up, and he was just like, well, that's the mindset, right? The mindset is to be able to get through these challenges and these enduring aspects of what life gives you, and that's the idea behind the Sundance. It's like those that decide to dance are doing that for the tribe, for the people, so that the people don't need to suffer and go through that. So ideally, if my child decides to go without food or water for 4 days, she's done so by choice, not because there is no food, no water. And that's what we were just talking about California right now, this thing. It's like the reality of that is happening, We just had a huge rain event here where our streets were flooded and practically needed a canoe. And if you had a small car, millions of dollars worth of cars were destroyed this weekend.
Destroyed.
Hundreds of millions. Brik alone. I mean, I saw a row of Aston Martins being this just all flood damage. We have that flip on this side, but out in California and the West Coast, that is a reality. As people are going through drought right now and having to make decisions.
Very literal drought.
Literal drought, yeah. Like towns that don't actually have running water
Yeah.
that needs to be shipped in. Towns of like 10, 15,000 people, not like, significant places that don't have the access to water because they don't have the leverage to get the water because they don't have the money. So that's rabbit trail. So this, right now it's like I'm on the journey to finish my XGX certification to at the very end of that, so I can become a certified coach, help out and be part of this movement that Spartan's doing, because I believe in it. I really believe in bringing that and focusing my energy with the kids, Warrior Kids. This is what we're working on. This is our organization, that, and our foundation, Warrior Kids Foundation, and it's about all strengthening these kids and giving them that balance of mind, body, and spirit, to be able to be well-rounded and be able to come into this world that they're inheriting from us and we inherited from our parents. So really like to be able to experience this. I really understand a lot of what it's going to entail. I've gotten the gear list, I've seen it, and, I have an understanding of how things can be, and also understand, like with everything in life, I know nothing. I'm going in there with no expectations and just being able to be present and make it happen, 100%.
100%. Going in with no preconceived notions.
Just
Don't watch the videos from last year.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories. It's like almost when people go to a Sundance or Vision Quest or even plant medicine, which is a topic for a whole other podcast. A lot of preconceived notions. People, have a lot of understandings and think they know a lot of things, and that's one of the things I'm teaching my daughter, is just not to have those mindsets, because it's not gonna.
Yeah.
Things can go south very quickly like that.
Yeah, and managing expectations. Like, I feel like we're both going out there open-minded, open to the experience,
And in our own hurricane heat, apparently too, because
Yeah.
we're taking.
We know it's
shot
not going to
alpha.
be easy, but it's not going to be easy from when we get in the car.
Yeah.
Because we haven't decided if it will have doors on or doors off, but we're going to drive a 30-year-old military truck
Alpha truck
3,200 miles to this
event.
So
There
we're
and back.
there and back.
Yes.
So we're gonna take Alpha truck, which is a 1991 M998 Humvee. It's got a 4-speed transmission, so it does go kind of a little bit highway speed, very slow, but we could cruise 60 on some of the roads.
Downhill 62.
Downhill we'll hit 70 for sure.
Nice. Good.
I hear somebody coming downstairs.
Yeah.
It's got comfortable seats. It has a good stereo. That's it. It rains inside if it's raining outside. It's cold inside if it's cold outside. It's hot inside if it's hot outside. So our hurricane heat starts when we take off.
It's like riding a horse.
It is like riding a horse. Only more smelly than the horse,
Yeah,
potentially.
definitely.
You smell like diesel when you get out of the truck. So we're going to drive the truck up there, and today we both restarted, or Brik started his phase of 75 hard, phase 3, and I'm restarting 75 hard that I failed during COVID in April. So in the 3-day drive from here to Pittsfield, Vermont, we're going to be doing 2 workouts a day, reading 10 pages, sticking to a diet, drinking a gallon of water.
I'll be talking to strangers. I need a cold shower every day.
Talking strange. Cold shower, we'll just find places to dunk
that's
you
easy.
in the
5
water.
minutes, not a problem. And then also the good deed, right?
Oh, and the good deed. Oh, phase 3. Phase 3 is so powerful.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to. Yeah.
Phase 3 is so powerful. What actually, now that we get into this, I forgot about that. My goal was to hit that the first thing in the morning. Was talking to a stranger. Like I started talking to people on the drive to work all the time, like at lights, and the good deed. That became kind of like, because those are the things that I couldn't wait till the end of the day, because then you failed.
Yeah, you can't.
Right? Like, how you going to talk to a stranger when it's 10 o'clock at night and you're home and you just got the alarm up, you forgot to do something, you're like,
not the one you want to forget.
nah.
Yeah, the workout, the water, things like that you can fix, but that one's a tough one.
Yeah, that is a tough one. We're going to have to figure out how to manage 75 hard during death race. Like, I think I might be able to sneak to wherever you're at and just snap a picture of you with no shirt to update the photo.
Yeah, that would be
Maybe I'll just have like access to your phone
Yeah, can do
and the
that.
password or whatever, and we'll have to figure out how you're gonna read 10 pages throughout these missions. The you're probably gonna have to keep your book on you.
Yeah,
Because there will be times where like you have time to eat or something, and you'll just have to dive in a few pages at a time, right? And I think you'll be able to do something good for people in the group every day.
That'll be 100%.
And
The thing about it too is, I mean, it's phase 3 is 30 days, so we're looking. Yeah, I'll be right there. I'll be at the very end of it. It'll be the last week of it, last 7 days, 5 days of phase 3.
yeah, I'll still be pretty fresh into 75 hard.
But already, just from today, it's like the mindset change. Something kind of like clicked this morning.
It's weird how that happens.
Yeah, I woke
right?
up this morning. Like every other time, I wasn't ready. I've started phase 2. It's the third time I'm starting phase 3. The other two times I started, it was my heart wasn't into it. Like I was doing it, thinking and then it fell apart quickly, and it just wasn't. But right now, it's just like, okay, it's the moment. It's interesting how those things sometimes.
I feel like my heart physically wasn't into it. So I failed 75 hard when I got COVID in April.
Another issue.
In my mind, I was like, oh, I'm going to start 75 hard like in a couple days. Here we are like more than a month and a few weeks later.
Yeah, it's like 6 weeks
like
later.
6 weeks later. And the reality was just my heart felt so taxed that I would do like a workout and that was it. The whole rest of my day was shot. Like I would work out for an hour and it would take me the whole rest of the day to recover from that workout. So
That's
it's
tough.
weirdly, it's like humble beginnings.
How are you feeling now?
I mean, I feel pretty good. I worked out this morning, and I'm probably gonna run later for my next workout.
That'll be going.
But I'm not completely destroyed.
Right.
Like I'm hoping that Wednesday, like I can close out Murph like in a decent time. So hopefully things are getting back to normal, and I can start. The reality is I need to start logging miles on my feet because Ultra World Championship is gonna come up before we know it.
Yeah, it's August, right? No,
September 24th.
24th,
So it's
still have a time to qualify for that.
this is a good time to be starting 75 hard for me, to go through the 75 days, and one of those runs every day, one of those workouts every day, I think is going to be a run. Whether I make that the inside workout or the outside workout, I'm fortunate that Wife Elect has a Peloton, so the treads on that are actually sick to run on. Like it's so smooth.
Because I don't think I've actually put miles on that yet.
Dude, it's unbelievably smooth. It's awesome, actually.
Awesome.
Not to give them a advertising spot, but
also not to. I mean, it is what it is.
it is what it is.
Yeah,
The old Peloton treadmill is what we have that has like the slats treads. Very legit piece of equipment. I dig it a lot. But so opportunity to start logging the miles again, and hopefully run every day from now to September. And then hopefully we're back to where we were pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, I thought I was like in the most legit shape
You were.
I had ever been in. Like I was like,
man.
go.
Yeah, it was well balanced.
I definitely didn't look like the Liver King, but I felt like that guy every day.
More balanced. No offense to the Liver King. More balanced. It's just you seem like you were just in a all around better state, which is ultimately my goal physically. To be in that all around state. Just be able to run, be able to lift, be able to move, be able to just do everything.
Fight, shoot. Like I was really trying to incorporate
those
like
dynamics,
every aspect of being hard to kill into every single day.
HTK, yeah.
Like I ran every day, lifted every day, shot or dry fired every day. Would throw down, grapple anytime I had the opportunity. Like it was, I really had gotten in like I say this all the time, people are patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had really gotten into like a very dialed pattern before getting sick, and it's crazy.
That's what life does.
How much it derailed me.
Mm-hmm.
And then and some people have no fucking effect. Some people are sick for a couple days, and that's it.
That's just the way this thing works.
And then some people just don't make it through.
Yeah, well, is that
like so I'm grateful I made it through, obviously. And the reality is, outside of training, I actually got through it like super fucking easy. Like it sucked for like a week, which is a long time for shit to suck. But I mean, if I wasn't trying to work out, I felt 100% afterwards. It wasn't until I would start working out that I was like, oh my god, I'm not even remote 100%. Like I'm dying.
Yeah, Ultra was tough for you.
The Ultra was
brutal.
In the Ultra, it made me rethink every thought I had in my mind about everything. I was like, what in the fuck am I thinking about this death race? Yeah. Why do I run 4 miles for every 4 hours for 48 hours?
Yeah.
Why the fuck am I even signing up for Ultra World Championships? Yeah. Why do I want to be out here any longer than necessary?
Yeah. And it's funny because I think the ceremonial dynamics are very much like that. Sometimes you're at Sundance and you're like 2 or 3 days in, or Vision Quest, or even just a ceremony, and you're like, and it reaches a point where you're like, why am I here? Why am I putting myself through this? It's
that happens to me at least once in every ceremony.
Yeah. And as well, there's no question. And that's part of life.
Why did I volunteer to be here punishing myself?
Well, but then there's this aspect too. Why do we volunteer to be here? Because some of us believe, at least my spirituality, the way I see the world, I believe that we choose times to live and to exist, and the ones we're here at this moment for a reason. Whether you believe it or not, it's irrelevant because we're here at this moment, and this is the reality that we have.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is be the best we can be, right? And then life will kick you in the balls, just like that, and be like, okay, I'm 100% riding best every day. I was like off the trail,
derailed, 100%.
Completely, and then getting back in, and then having to retool. But then what happens under? What's the stress, right? You come back. The idea is to come back better, stronger, more determined, next level. It's the upgrade. So For the down, there has to be a purpose for it to come back and to go into the upgrade.
It's coming back more powerful. And this is one of the things. As I was in the down, mine's just been like 6 weeks since I've been back to trying to work out hardcore. And in these 6 weeks, probably halfway through that, you realize how easy it is when you stop working out to just stop working out.
Completely.
That slippery slope shit is so slippery.
I haven't read since my last attempt at.
I haven't read since I failed 75 hard.
And this morning I'm reading, and it's just kind of like, I love reading. It's like I got the book down, and I was like, my mind's on fire, and especially because I like reading in the morning. That moment you wake up, as opposed to grabbing the phone, I grab the book, go through some things, and it's just all of a sudden you're downloading the information and connecting with the author. Very, very different, especially the kind of stuff that we're reading. It's just like really incredible.
But it really was easy to go down that hill. And then the flip side to that is, about a week ago, I started getting fired up about like getting back on this shit.
Like something's clicking.
And it was like something just as easy as things click to, you don't have to do shit, man. Like, you could just hang out and watch some fucking boat sinking at Hollover Inlet on YouTube and hang out with your girl, like, you could do that every single night. Or you could be your most savage fucking self every single night.
Yeah, I was just listening to Jordan Peterson thinking about that, and he was breaking it down. I remember because I just listened this morning. He was talking about 4 hours wasted on YouTube or something along those lines, cumulatively over the month, over the week, over the year, and then adding the dollar figure of $20 an hour for the time that you are right that you've been working.
Oh damn!
And he came out, and his number was around $50,000. So $50,000 to sit on your ass and watch YouTube, or to just surf on Insta, or whatever it is, at $20 an hour. And cumulatively, I was just kind of like, I was working out this morning, and I was just like, wow, man, that everything he was saying, what stuck out to me was like $50 grand. I mean, people aren't making $50 grand in a year.
Right? I know.
In a year, I know, and exactly.
Gas cost $50 grand just to
pretty
drive
much right
a
now
car for a year.
Completely at this point, and it's only going to get. Unfortunately, the reality is we're in a down slope, and so we swing up. So that was like really mind blowing on that. How much time is just we idle and we waste, and that's one of the things we were having this conversation with young Warren's wife yesterday, and we were talking about the whys, and like just trying to understand this aspect of the 75 hard, and it's just. Yeah, it's just like, well, it's unsustainable. It's like, well, you're not supposed to necessarily live in this state for the rest of your life, but those 75 days ingrain a pattern and show you and give you the insight of what you can do. Then when you go and you're like an hour in on YouTube, you're just like, oh, what am I doing? It's like, I'm like, you're aware of the fact that you're really wasting this time. And fine, look, sometimes we need some downtime, and if that's fine, that's so be it. But just remember that when you have that downtime, someone else isn't downtime. I always think about prize fighters have this mentality. You talk about Kobe Bryant. There's this I forgot which athlete it was that joined the Lakers, and he was all gun ho, and he's like, I'm gonna get down. I'm gonna get in 2 hours before the workout and beat Kobe Bryant. Well, when he got there 2 hours before the workout, Kobe Bryant was in the showers already. He already had finished his workout. That from Tim Glover's book. I was like reading that. I was just like, I got goosebumps. I get goosebumps right now.
That's from winning.
Like, exactly.
That's the book right there.
Yeah. I was just kind of like, wow. It might be Relentless.
Oh, maybe.
Because I haven't read winning. I was Relentless. But regardless, it's in both of them because it's the same guy. It's Jordan. It's Kobe Bryant. It's Dwayne Wade. It's these guys that have
the cleaners.
The guys that get it right. Next
the guys
level.
that get it. Yeah.
And you want to balance things out. Yeah. I mean, I totally enjoy my downtime, and I was able to enjoy my.
Look, you want to balance things out. Those cleaners are not balancing shit.
No, they're not. They're not. Which is why they're at. So then there's a price to be paid for that too, obviously. And if you don't want to pay that price and you have a different dynamic, different goal in your life, then so be it. Put that goal down there. But if you want to be a game changer, if you really want to be the cleaner, and it's a term they use in the book in case you're unfamiliar with, Tim Glover talks about those guys that are cleaners. There's 4. I remember the 4 off the top of my head. I have to go in there, but the cleaner is the ultimate. At the end, we'll recap on that.
Just like a cooler.
Yeah, there's a cooler. There's a cleaner. Yeah, there's these levels of where you're at.
Cooler, closer, cleaner.
Yeah, and there's one more. There's one more missing. But that's the mentality, right? And I want to definitely lean towards being that closer in that direction. And 75 hard, man. And if you're still thank you, man. Life changer.
For real.
And it's not for everyone. And I say this for everyone. It's like ceremony. Like ceremony's not for everyone. Ceremony's for everyone, but not everyone's for ceremony. Well, 75 hard could be for anybody, but not everyone's for 75 hard. And that's just the way it is. And that's okay. You know, and definitely, you know, Andy's way of approaching.
It's not
his
for anybody
delivery.
looking for a participation medal.
Definitely. No
There's
participation.
no reward at the end of this. There's no trophy.
No yeah, but there is. But
The greatest trophy, actually.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not just. But it's not for participation. It's for completion, right? It's not just because you showed up. You know, at the end of the race, you know, you get the shirt and your thing.
Yeah,
you
I think
you cross that finish.
Part of like the biggest win for me is I manage time differently after doing Life Hard last year.
Yeah.
Like you probably noticed, like I write down and like make task lists for fucking everything.
Yeah.
Like now that I'm that way for going camping, off-roading, like whatever it is.
So what are you doing? You're setting yourself up for success every time. Every single time you set yourself up to be more successful than being like, oh shit, I forgot something.
Even at 2 a.m. I wrote down this podcast,
yeah.
what we were doing.
Hit me up this morning. I was like, all right, done. Yeah. Exactly.
At 2 a.m. I was like, oh wait, I got
an idea. Boom. And those are the moments that download. There's a story with Michael Jackson and was it Michael Jackson's Prince? Yeah, it was Michael Jackson calling up his producer Quincy Jones, and the people saying it was like 4 a.m. He had to jump in the studio because he got an idea for the song. I can't remember what the song is, and he says, you know, I gotta get down there and write the song right now. And he's like, well, I have to write the song. He's like, why does that have to be right now? He goes, I have to write before Prince does. You know, and there's this understanding that things float, right? And you throw it, and you kind of like grab it. So you don't want to let something float. So when that idea comes up, do not let it just drift because it's gonna drift to somebody else. How many of you have come up with a million, possibly at this point, $1 billion idea, especially us older folk, and been like, wow, somebody did it. Well, yeah, someone did do it. They saw it, they picked it up, and they started the implementation of doing it. And these steps, these lists, these programs, these things that we're doing in the morning, the meditation in the morning, the not touching our electronic devices in the morning, these are things that the people that are on the top of their A game are doing. And whatever your A game is, man, if it's nursing, if it's being a firefighter, carpenter, whatever it is, a doctor, doesn't
artist,
matter.
Gymnast, like it's how you know, everybody. Just be the best at it. Well, whatever it is.
When I used to study yoga philosophy under Dr. Raina, he was one of my big teachers. He talked about it being your yoga, and yoga to him was not. It's a way of life. It's much more than just postures and something you're doing at LA Fitness on a Wednesday morning. It was a understanding of a spirituality of a being, and his yoga, he referred to it like, to me, for my yoga at the time was fully 100% music and personal training and carpentry and whatever it is. That's your yoga. That's what you're putting your practice into, your martial art, whether it be kung fu, whether it could be literally yoga. I mean, if that's what you're doing, but it's the practice of what, you know, you're offering to yourself and ultimately the world. You know, that's a big factor. So these guys and these athletes and all these people, you know, you want to be able to do that because ultimately, for my purposes, I want to be able to give back, be of service in that way by offering something back to humanity, you know, for our kids.
100%.
Everything that we do. I mean, like, you know, we talk about it all the time, and it all cycles back to our kids. You know, we were talking about the beginning of the podcast, you know, before we started filming, you know, what we're doing and giving these skill sets and these abilities to our children, so that, you know, God forbid that we have to check out earlier, that they're set up.
That they're set up.
That they can function. And then ideally we don't, and we're here and we can see our grandkids and pass these things on to our great grandkids. Ideally, that's my goal personally.
But nothing's guaranteed.
Nothing.
Definitely not life.
100%. Not an ounce. But the only thing guaranteed is that you're going to check out at some point.
Yeah.
That's a guarantee. You know, and we do our best that we can to check out as late as possible. That's why we talk about nutrition, talk about health. We do this, you know. I've talked about in the last podcast, you know, I had a reunion at school, and it was just kind of like 50 year reunion. It wasn't my 50th, but it was 50 years of the class. And just seeing people, and, you know, people all at different levels of health, and people that were 10, 15, 20 years younger than me that, you know, looked as old, if not older, just because they're just not putting that work in. You know, it's not because I have a health condition. If you have the people that have health conditions are usually the ones that bust it even harder. They're the ones that are actually working harder because their life depends on it and they know it. Whereas it's that frog boiling in the water being slowly boiled, right?
And I mean, isn't that unfortunate? But that's my story.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I took for granted this body until I thought I wasn't gonna be able to use it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and that's 100% the reality of that.
That's a reality check.
When I tell these kids that they're spoiled brats and they look at me like I live in a trailer with 6 brothers, I don't have anything. I'm like, yeah, but what you do have is the one fucking thing money can't buy. And there's a bunch of rich folks with cancer and 75 fucking cars that just wish they had healthy lungs.
Steve Jobs, at the end of his life, pancreatic cancer. He did everything and tried all these different, and talk about, obviously money and access wasn't the issue, and nothing could be fixed.
Yeah.
Nothing could be done. At that point, it's time is your time. And maybe even the fact that we are trying to navigate and manipulate this, maybe it's an illusion to some extent, because maybe we will check out, maybe fucking end up getting hit by a bus when you step outside, and that's irrelevant to how good shape you are, right? Whether you're overweight or diabetic or not, it's irrelevant.
Well, I don't know about me, like I might total that bus.
That's the idea, right? It's like Baby Huey, universe falls apart, right? Ultimately. And then I'd like to think, and I really firmly believe that it does matter, that there is some aspect that we do have an influence on this journey. You know, maybe the end result, you know, sometimes it's written in the stars, some people like to believe, but then there's the aspect of, you know, writing that journey yourself, writing that path, making those things, those things happen for you, writing it up, you know, writing your own life, your own destiny. So, I mean, conversation once again, that's a whole podcast in itself too.
100%.
Can take notes on these things.
Let's, a few things going on is, at least on my end, wife-elect jumped into 75 hard today.
Sure. Yes.
How about your end?
I wasn't home to see this morning, but I would like to think that she did.
What's going on with the wives of 75 hard?
They're ready. They're ready to do it. They're ready to give it a go and to make it happen. And I think there's an aspect too, like, you know, it's amazing because I've heard my wife, you know, tell other people about it, right? About what we do and how it is. And she says it with such a certain amount of pride. You know, like she's really proud of the impact because she knows how much we're impacting people, because we're encouraging other people to do it. Even my kid, you know, my daughter, she's 9 years old, and, you know, she's understanding nutrition, she's understanding dynamics of what it takes to have the mindset, right? Which is what
I mean, you saw the photos of my boy Hector.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this guy went from, but even then, it took a life-altering moment for him to be like, oh shit, I gotta take care of this body.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it is, because at a certain point, and I think it's once that frontal cortex, we talk about that with teenagers, you know, 23, 24 years old, the frontal cortex is fully developed at that point, you're an adult. What that means is that now you're setting those patterns for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Right? Like Tai Lopez, he won't take mentors, he won't mentor anybody that's over 23 years old, because it's too much work, because the understanding psychologically, neurologically, is the fact that the only way you're going to change something at that point is a traumatic event. Bam, 2x4 upside your face, or I-95, right? Motorcycle up against the wall, or your boy being pronounced dead on the table and coming back to life.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, once we're setting our payet, that's what it is. Even myself, you know, I went through when I went through aplastic anemia and being in the hospital and being in the oncology ward until 2011, having the guy next to me stage 4 lymphatic cancer, you know, and going, okay, I'm sick, but I'm not sick like that. I'm not sick like anybody else on this floor right now. And I'm not saying that, I'm just saying the reality of, like, I need to get out of here because this is not where I belong.
100%.
And then that's been my journey from that point on spiritually, because I had a lot of that near-death experience. I mean, there's a reason people come back from near-death experiences where they are, because they realize the fragility of life, right? It's nothing like till you're racked up on the side of the road, you know.
Talking to God.
That's when the moment comes.
Or whatever you believe in. But
it will happen at that moment.
Atheism will go out the window real fucking quick when you're on the side of the road.
Like that. And then there's things that happen that only you can understand. And even if you don't understand, but that you experience, because you may never understand those things. But I just surrender to the flow and the will of. I have a friend that, Justice, my good brother that passed away years ago. Also, dude, a perfect example of someone, unbelievable health, 6'2", former Navy SEAL, just personal trainer, and died of a massive coronary. Ate great, did the whole thing, fasted all the time, the whole thing. And it was just one aspect we talk about, like, you know, does it matter? I don't know. I don't know in that end. But he always talked about the aspect of salmon swimming upstream. You know, it's like you're going in that direction. That's the salmon's going up there. Unbeknownst to them, most probably is they don't realize that they're going to go up there, they're going to spawn, and that's the end of it, right? That's where they stay. They stay upriver, and then this little thing goes on, and the cycle continues. So sometimes it's just you gotta follow that gut instinct and go in that direction. And all of these things we're talking about, spiritually, physically, and mentally, help us tap into that, so that we're not overriding the desire to go do something because our mind says we should go that way. You know, it's like we talk about with the car this weekend, last weekend. You know, it's like your instinct is to go hit the brake, right? You hit the brake, you're done. That's not what you're supposed to do, even though that's what your mind's telling you to do. It's like me
100%.
on Bender when I rolled my ankle. I know I wasn't committed going down. Head first, I was like, I'm not too sure about it. Boom. Oh, man. And I knew it, you know? And I knew it at that moment. And it was okay. That's it. Life lesson, right?
I was internally so bummed.
Oh man, me too. I can imagine where I was at. I was not bummed that I didn't break my ankle because I thought that could have been, you know, a lot worse. Given
I was bummed, and partly I was like, thank God Brik broke his ankle and not one of these other people. I'm sorry.
No, but shit, I mean, honestly, those
100%.
guys, I know that the work I do and the strengthening of my ankle survived. It made my ankle strong. Tendons and ligaments. I did a lot of work, animal locomotion, and you know, props out to my boy Nelson moves Sydney's yard. Thank you for that work. It's just like the animal locomotion and the calisthenics is just like, I know it's been the next layer of bulletproofing the body.
Yeah.
Bulletproofing my ankle. You know, that's a perfect example of it. You know, so powerful stuff, man. You know.
For me, I know I brought this up all the time, and I mentioned it on a podcast, and then seeing it with somebody else, like with Hector.
Mm-hmm.
I've known this kid my whole life. You know, we were fat friends, and when I tell the stories about buying a gallon of ice cream and scooping half of it out and filling it with cereal, and then after eating that, grabbing the other half of the gallon.
And something tells me it wasn't organic milk or organic cereal. What was the go-to cereal?
Go-to cereal was red cereal, meaning Lucky Charms. Sometimes Frosted Flakes. Golden Grams are legit in
Golden Grams, wow, is that still even around?
Look at, and here's the deal. I mean, Cold Stone came out, so obviously people like putting cereal in their ice cream.
Oh yeah, you guys were ahead of the curve. It could have been your
ahead of the
$1 billion idea.
Cold Stone what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
It could have been your idea.
We put that out in the ether.
Yeah, man.
But you know, I look at the time at us growing up, and I just before this kid got into 75 hard, we had some discussions about it. He's going through a transformational stage in his life. And, you know, and he's like, I just want to get down like 200 pounds. And I'm like, why? Like, you're fucking 5 feet tall. Like, you're not supposed to be 200 pounds. He's like, how much should I weigh? I'm like, I don't know, 150 pounds? How much do fighters your height weigh? That's what you should fucking look like.
Yeah.
It's just that.
Give or take that 15.
He's never put in this much work. Actually put in the work because he didn't think he could achieve the things that he's achieved already in these 75 days. I think his 75 hard ended Sunday.
I mean, we're talking about someone that's a bodybuilder now.
No, we're talking about my boy that died and
Hector,
came back.
Hector.
Yeah.
That was the other boy is
Shane.
Shane, oh yeah, Shane became the bodybuilder. Yeah.
But
which is another great story.
Amazing story.
Another,
we'll get him on the podcast.
Yeah, we
soon.
talked about it because that's legit. I mean, to see his body where he's at and to know that.
Oh, dude, he was bigger than I was.
I mean, to know that now he's literally a bodybuilder.
Literally a competitive bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Like he's on stage and shit.
Yeah.
All orange painted.
Brown. It's a dark shade of brown. Brown. Yeah, brown's in
You're
your color.
sexy, Shane. We appreciate everything you're doing. Don't get the wrong idea.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of skin paint.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, but like with Hector, it was you know, just seeing his pictures from day 1 to like day 70, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, this shit's so hard. I'm like, dude, it's just the beginning, bro. Like, wait till phase 2.
And you know, I think even for Hector too, because he came out to when we went out to Climb for Life.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was a reality check too, right? Here he is with all his own excuses, which once again, man, I'm not invalidating your excuses by saying that they're not legitimate, but they're still excuses no matter what, right? You can have no legs and not climb a mountain, but there's guys that have no legs and climb mountains, so it's a legitimate excuse.
Yeah, we know one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then to go out there and then be out there with the Climb for Life kids and seeing Blind Brady climbing the rope and Joe Wolfman flying through the course on his things, and I mean, it's all of it. Every aspect of it is humbling because then you're just like, man, I'm like, it makes your excuses really go.
Your excuses just don't hold water anymore.
You're just like, wow, man, really, that's where I'm at. And that's part of the mental process, and it does require, because now you're holding on to sometimes these ideas are of identity and of self, which is why it's it takes such a traumatic event so often to be able to break these patterns, because they are who you are, who you've become or perceive yourself to be, psychologically, and in the brain itself. So to break that pattern is tough.
And with all these examples, with Shane, with Hector, with myself, it is proof as fuck that you can make that decision at any point
And make it happen.
My mom didn't start working out till she was like 60 years old.
And she's a gangster mover, man. She's such an inspiration.
And she's so legit that people think she was like an athlete her whole life.
Yeah, I did, until you told me that. It was amazing. She thinks she's just a regular mom, just, probably was she on the overweight side?
All of us are overweight.
Yeah.
Even Luca.
Really? All of you?
All of us.
Wow. Like a lot overweight, or? Because I know you were like.
I mean, I was drastically overweight.
Yeah, okay.
I was professionally overweight.
You're professional.
They were just like amateur.
You're a Kobe Bryant of it.
They didn't have no ice cream and cereal.
Oh my god! So Frosted Flakes and the half gallon with the milk. That's just like, wow.
No milk.
Just like melted up.
Oh yeah.
And you can't even blame it on the munchies too, because you don't smoke. You
no, you can't blame it on munchies.
No, it was just straight up.
My addiction
was that
fucking sugar.
And we talked about that yesterday.
My other addiction was playing fucking Rainbow Six on PlayStation.
While eating the ice cream.
Oh, man.
Man.
And then I would get in my car and drive to like a car show and eat a bunch of bad food there. And then drive home. And I'm sitting down that whole time.
Yeah, it was like, no, it's Wally, 100%.
Yeah.
That movie, that is like a documentary between Wally and Idiocracy. It's like, it's the potential of where we're heading as a species. So maybe we should start showing those films in school. Getting these kids to see the potentiality of where we're headed if we're not careful.
Yeah.
Like today we were able to do with the Warrior Kids this morning at Casa Bambini and break them down and have the kids come out. And then when we started out, we spoke to them about that. We talked to them about finding the balance in their lives. We weren't saying it's like all the kids, some of you like running, some this, and then we have some athletic kids in there. But all of them, with the video games and aspects along those lines were, all jumping up and going in there and cool with putting hours of their lives. That's the thing that you have as a kid or as a teen or a young person, is the time that you have in your hand is different, and it shifts as you get older. Time is a very relative, kind of a very subjective reality. It's like you think about being 12 and 13 and 15 years old, those days were eternal. You did 25 things. Now as an adult, you get up and it's like you do one thing and it's like, how do you mean it's noon or 1 o'clock already? I've been up since 6.
It's 1:30 already.
Exactly, and we've been up since the crack of dawn. Before dawn, actually, I was up before sun. It's been the beauty of not bartending anymore, is that I can actually wake up at a nice normal pattern. My circadian rhythms are rocking right now.
That's so important. The circadian rhythm,
man. So I know we're covering a lot of things, but it still falls under the same umbrella, which is this aspect of getting back on 75 hard. The benefit of what 75 hard has done for our lives, and we're big proponents on it. We're talking about our significant others jumping on it. I really believe that they're going to stick to it and they're going to make it happen because they want to do it.
Because they want to do it.
I
think they didn't want to do it.
The why
until now.
I think it was just like me with starting phase 3 2 times.
Yeah.
I have my heart in doing it because I said I was going to do it, not necessarily because I was like, okay, this is the time to do it. This is the time to do it. Like I always tell these kids, like I really don't. I tell them especially when they can't do a pull up, and I'm like, I don't want you to realize that you can't pull up your own body weight when you're unfortunately hanging outside of a bridge because you fell off your bike on some family vacation somewhere. When you're here and you realize you can't pull yourself up, and the other option is falling, potentially death, or at least getting seriously hurt, it's the wrong time to realize you can't do that. There's this aspect of like when we grew up, playing outside was just the norm. You were outside because there wasn't the phone, there wasn't the TV. It's like you saw cartoons on Saturday morning, maybe 2 hours after school, and that was it. There wasn't a YouTube. I tell this to my kid, and it's like, they look at you, the dog kind of like, burr. It's just like, what do you mean I just can't rewind it? I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that.
I mean, you had to watch shows live.
Yeah, you remember running to the bathroom in between the commercial breaks to be able to come back and to not miss anything, whatever the show was. So it's a different reality, no fault of their own, but we share these things with them so they can understand that there's this point of reference to give them a skill set to make them better. right?
Yeah.
That's ultimately the goal in all of this. So I think, at this particular juncture with the world is where it's at, there's this aspect of doomsday preppers, and people always look at them like they're insane. Now everybody's thinking that I should have become a doomsday prepper 10 years ago when things were easier and more accessible.
Let's get into that. Go ahead.
Same thing with the body, right? You don't want to find out when you get jacked that, you couldn't do it, or when you're, like I said, having a situation where you need that strength, or an emergency situation, God forbid, school shootings, all these things that happen in our reality right now. That's not the time to realize you don't have the skill set to defend yourself. When you've had the time to do it 10 times over, because you've spent 4 or 5 hours watching Netflix or YouTube or playing, whatever game it is on your phone as an adult even.
Daily practice to hone those skills.
That's the skill set, to be able to be hard to kill, right? And we say that, loosely, and it's kind of like tongue-in-cheek, but it's also legitimate because, I do want to be hard to kill. God forbid someone comes up and that situation arises. A guy's going to come up and they're going to look at Christian and I, and they're going to look at someone else, and the reality is that they're going to go for the weaker one because they're hunting, right? They're going to go for the slower gazelle. They're going to go for the one that lingers behind, where the leaders and the pack of whatever the herd is up in the front, right? The one that's straggling behind for whatever reason is the one that's going to get consumed by the wolves or the tigers or the lions or the bears or whatever it is.
I don't need to outrun the bear. I just need to outrun you.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. It's
real though, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you you want to get into the timeline of what's going to go on in the next few weeks for us?
Let's do it.
We this is our plan. We're gonna take off from Miami in an old beat up truck. Doors or no doors, we haven't figured that out yet. If we can get the doors to stay on legit without being paracorded together, we'll probably rock doors. If not, we're wearing raincoats anyway because it rains inside. We're gonna, my plan is for us to take our time getting up there. We have to be up there by Thursday on the 30th.
30th, yeah. The calendar.
And I realize that Monday night I have to take Big Bro to the airport. But what I was thinking was, we take off Monday night, we go to Orlando, which I know is nowhere near Vermont.
Yeah, nowhere near. But it's on the way.
It's on the way.
Literally on the way. We're in Florida.
We have breakfast.
30th.
We do a workout. We stop by Spartan Race.
You said Monday?
Monday.
That's 27, okay.
27. We stop by Spartan Race. We harass the beautiful people at Spartan HQ in Orlando.
Joe as well?
Yeah.
Maybe we won't harass you. But
We'll harass.
Maybe
We'll harass everybody.
Equal opportunity.
We'll and then we make our way up. We could catch a workout, probably like at 6 or 7 p.m. Crash. Do our reading. Eating on the road becomes a real thing. So we're gonna have to plan our food, and then when we get up there,
beef jerky and fruit.
We really have.
It's like literally going to be on the trail. It's like horses.
Yeah.
Literally.
We have no idea at all what happens Thursday.
Yeah, none.
We know we have a gear list.
Yes.
Which is nutty. I started memorizing lyrics to a song by Led Zeppelin.
You did.
Right? It's a Led Zeppelin song.
Recorded. I believe so. We were talking about this yesterday.
And we're gonna give ourselves up to this experience for 4 days essentially, because it ends on July 3rd. At which point I'm assuming we can start driving home at some point. And then here's what happens July 4th, right after Death Race, in the middle of 75 hard. Every July 4th we run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. We're going to be driving, which means that every 4 hours we're going to stop driving, run 2 miles back, and hop in the truck. So we'll be able to hit these 4 miles every 4 hours in a bunch of different places, which in a way is kind of cool.
Amazing.
Because we would like to run some of those miles with y'all. So if you are between Vermont and Miami and you're having a barbecue,
Eastern Seaboard, let us know.
Eastern Seaboard, we will crash your barbecue and eat some meat and run 4 miles with you guys and then get back on the road.
I might run and then eat. Do the other way around. But
however it works out.
Might have to.
We'll run, eat, run,
Yeah,
whatever.
however it is, we'll take
whatever it is.
We'll run while we're eating.
And then we'll make it home. And hopefully take a nap.
At that point, yeah.
And take a nap.
Yeah, at that point, which will be probably at that point July 5th, 6th.
Yes.
Yeah.
It definitely won't be the 5th, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Especially if we're running.
We're stopping every 4 hours to run.
We're stopping. I mean, at some point we're gonna have to stop and like sleep.
Yeah.
At some stage in the game.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. There's no way around that.
I think this makes this the most hardcore version of going to death race and coming home.
I mean, we've added some pretty intense layers.
It's kind of like a hurricane heat just to be in my truck for 3 days.
It's kind of like a hurricane heat just being your friend.
Yes. Although,
wife Alex said it best. I think you're gonna have to include that somewhere in your wedding, some aspect of it. Your wedding should be a hurricane heat. Some aspect, maybe your bachelor
I already
party.
thought of my hurricane heat wedding, but you know, I know she's gonna want to wear a dress and not.
I would. You definitely need to give her that. You definitely need to give her that.
But as far as bachelor party, this is what I would want to do in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you because it would probably involve you.
Yeah.
I think it would be dope to either be like in Uhari or even at Camp Murphy, be somewhere in the woods, off-roading for a couple days. If we could live off the land, like fish for trout, that would be gangster.
Next level.
But I would love to have a sweat lodge. Mm-hmm. Like our property is so steep between the river and the flat that I don't know if we could build that thing close to the river. But in my mind, I'm like, man, like having a sweat lodge.
That would be amazing.
By the river.
And a select crew of people.
That is what I would envision my my bachelor party being like. Just a bunch of dudes in the woods, unplugged, disconnected, just becoming one.
Connecting.
With the fire and with the air and the water.
Disconnecting and connecting.
Digitally disconnecting
from that reality, from all of that, and
yeah,
plugging into the vibration of
you know, and really setting
nature,
the tone and the vibration for
Earth.
You know, for this wedding coming up and for all the stories that are gonna come from it later. You know, like that would be my idea of a bachelor party. Can I convince all these people to not do some drunk thing for a bachelor party? I don't know.
I think so. Some of them. The vast majority.
Some of them.
The select few.
Sean Ross, are you watching this? This video specifically goes out to Sean Ross.
To do a reel just for him.
We're not going to be in Vegas partying.
Yeah.
We're going to be like in the woods.
Yeah. And if we end up in Vegas, it's going to be for my Mini Monkeys finals, because you qualified for.
What date is that?
I have no idea. I have to look at it. I'm not sure what the date is. It's the middle of July, I believe.
Mini Monkey's so savage, bro.
Yeah. So just a little ad that this at the very last minute found out about this competition. UNAA, Ultimate Ninja Athletic Association. It's a different league that she's been competing in. They had an event here at the Miami International Expo, which was a really cool event. They had bodybuilding, they had powerlifting, they had CrossFit, they had calisthenics, and calisthenics was right across the ninja, and they had ninja. And it was just so cool to watch these calisthenic guys and girls go at it, and then watch the ninja guys and girls go at it. And it's a very age thing, because obviously the ninja stuff is a lot of
Anybody that we knew competing other than Mini Monkey?
And
in either?
For the ninja, yeah, some of her teammates from Ninja Street, some crew up there, and then apparently Ninja 305. Shout out to Daniel, because he did a great job. Really took care of the kids. Took a moment with each kid that went up there. And
was it Danny's event?
He was part of the ninja. Yeah, he brought the ninja thing. Yeah, he put it together. It was very, very, very well run. The kids were great, and my daughter qualified first for regionals, and then came in first for qualified for regionals, and then came in first for regionals, and was really good. And the first time up too, she was the first one up, so she had to go through that course the first time, which is never what you want to do. And it's just
not
good,
ever
man.
Specifically in this sport.
In this sport, and just kind of went through it really beautifully and did a great job and held her.
My favorite thing, actually, I was gonna make a reel of a piece of the
Mm-hmm.
video you sent me. You see this little kid completely eat shit.
Yeah, sends it
Her
completely.
fucking face hits the floor.
Yeah, I mean, she hits it. I mean, it's a mat, but nonetheless, she fell from a good distance.
Dude, she does not even fucking stutter.
Yeah, she didn't flinch.
She gets up and goes right back to work.
Yeah, because with National Ninja League, you fall, you're done. You can finish your course, but then the time stops. But with this league, you get what they call 3 lives, so you can fail obstacle 3 times and the time's still going. There's just for you to accomplish the obstacle and the time, so it works out really well. So she had the opportunity to knock that out solid.
And one of the things that my parents out there, you know that this happens. You see your kid eating shit, and they'll look at you for a second of, do I start crying or do I not? You guys know what I'm talking about now, right?
All of us on both ends.
And it's how you
Both
react that's gonna cause the chain of events that happens after that, right? Like a lot of times, like kids around me wouldn't cry.
Yeah, for sure. They're not gonna cry. Right?
They'll be like, I'm like, come on, you got this, Spartan up.
Yeah, exactly.
But this kid is so dialed, she didn't even have that thought process. She hit the ground and almost bounced back on her feet and
it's pretty
attacked
impressive.
the rest of the
Yeah,
course.
it's pretty impressive.
And I was like, yes.
And the ring, and
That
then
is
even
that
afterwards, it's the ring because the ring wasn't attached. So I didn't see it from behind. So there's another footage I didn't show you is that she actually grabs the ring, but the ring's just hanging. So when she grabbed it, she inadvertently lifted the ring as it came down, as opposed to putting that pressure down. So even that was a learning experience because she learned. We talked about it because we saw some other kids, some of the older boys pull it off, and I was like, oh, there it is. That's how you do that, because she actually inadvertently. So
That's the thing with ninja. You being the first person on the course is a significant disadvantage.
Yeah.
Significant.
Yeah.
Because if you get to see the things play out, that's huge.
Huge. And for what works and what doesn't work, so all the other kids were able to see where she's at. But some of the distances were so far that she literally had to lâcher to that ring, which is what was making it difficult. So that's the other thing too, and you know, especially with the kids, is how they're developing. You know, not every 8-year-old is the same.
Obviously.
You know, obviously. So
She is growing though.
she is.
You
finally,
probably don't notice it as much
she's
as
growing.
I
She's
do.
growing. I'm seeing it.
She's
it,
growing.
so.
But
yeah.
it is definitely a sport that having some people on the course ahead of you goes a long, long way. And look, and it's part of that visualization thing, right? Like so when I'm coaching at the races, like I try to make the obstacles look like as smooth as possible. I'll make the swings as big as possible. I go through it a bunch of different ways, obviously, for everything from first timers to people trying to be in cutthroat elite races. You know, but I'm not there to show off. I'm demonstrating this is what's possible on this obstacle.
And different techniques given different parameters.
And then when people see what's
height
possible,
and whatnot.
then they can push their own limit, right? And that's what happens, I feel like, in ninja. Like when you see things that are going on, then you're like, oh shit, that's how you do that.
Or that's how you can do that.
Or that's how you can do that.
Yeah. So
Or that's how much swing is required
to be able to
make
pull
this
that off.
gap.
Or you have to lâcher there because you're not going to reach, you know. And that's what a lot of people do, especially when they're not used to lâchering, which is, you know, jump flying through the air. They'll want to hold on and try to reach, and then it jerks you back, and then there you're on the ground. Yeah, done. As opposed to like, I'm sending it. Which she did. She sent it, flew, didn't even phase her. I mean, it was great. And afterwards, she was just like, yeah. I mean, she said she has a little bit of a knock on her forehead. I'm like, what's that from? She's like, the ring. I'm like, oh. So when she flew, she nailed it. And there was something today in reference to what you're talking about. Jordan Peterson, just saw some clips. I was listening to him this morning, and he talked about letting your kids do dangerous things, right?
So important.
How important. And there's just like this montage of like, this little kid, you know, holding on to like the garage door going up, and a little kid jumping in, whatever it is. Something that a lot of parents be, no, don't do that. It's like, no, let them do it. It's a calculated fall. Yeah, the kid's gonna fall, and it might hurt, right? But let them do it because it's building the mentality of being able to do it. Because if you keep stopping them from doing it, they're going to do that in every possible conflict or situation that has any kind of, they're going to become risk aversive, right? They're not going to want to take that chance.
Yeah.
And then it's about business, it's about love, it's about every aspect in their life. And it could be minimal, and they could still have, you know, outwardly okay life, but the potential of what that life could have been if they had just been allowed to fully blossom and send it off a ring somewhere, or send it off the side of a cliff, or whatever the case.
And
is.
the thing is, parents, you know, your kids are gonna get hurt, right? Like, and it's that's how we grow.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't think you need to break as many bones as I have in my life.
Yeah, let's hope not.
But but like a happy medium.
Yeah. You know, and everyone's gonna have a different journey with that. And it depends on what your kids want to do too. Your kids may be more academic or more scholarly. And this isn't just physical. This is emotional too. It could be about, you know, about love.
100%. I mean, look, there's a bunch of sports where your kids can take serious risks and not ever really risk breaking a bone.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, like in jiu-jitsu, you're probably not
Very
seeing a bunch
likely,
of bones
as
break.
opposed to football or
Right.
mountain bike racing.
But yeah,
I mean,
mountain bike racing serious.
You got to send the miscalculations.
Look, and about football and mountain bike racing, you know, the head trauma possibilities in football is so serious. Like, I don't want my kids playing football.
No.
You know, in mountain biking, it's also serious. Like, it's very easy to get a concussion from slamming your head on the ground. But I feel like it's way less chance of getting a concussion.
It's not every play.
Doing jiu-jitsu versus
Football.
those other sports.
Yeah, 'cause football, it's like every play. You're going, especially if you're a linesman or something, you're hitting. It's the game. But once again, that's a topic for a whole other podcast. Christian,
Yeah.
I think we've covered it, man.
We covered it.
We're
We're going to death race. Hopefully, you guys let us in.
Yes.
Let Brik in. I'm
Yes.
going anyway.
Yeah. Apparently, I'm gonna be there. So
They told me to bring a sleeping bag.
I'm just gonna sneak in on the course.
You probably don't need a sleeping bag because if you're taking a nap, it's over.
Yeah, it's probably the case. Yeah.
I'll be praying while he's not napping.
I'm going through it.
Yeah, we'll wrap this up. I'm gonna start a new book for 75 Hard.
Cool. Excellent.
I was reading Ray Dalio Principles. I actually think everybody should read that book. It's very long and I haven't finished it. However, I did get this in the mail and I'm just so stoked to read it. And I just spent a week in the woods and I think it looks like it's gonna be a fast read, so I think I could probably get through this in 75 days.
Oh yeah, you get that even before that.
So I think we're gonna go with Cam Haines
Excellent. I
for
started
these 75 days.
and I started Battle Cry by Jason Williams. So
Right.
you guys don't know, I don't have the book here because I read it this morning. But phenomenal book, phenomenal input.
And if you know Jason Williams,
The Cave.
tell him to jump on our podcast,
Yeah, man, amazing.
so we would have at least like a little credibility to our podcast.
Yeah, well, it's coming. Inevitable. We got a lot of people.
It's
on
coming.
the-
He's
a lot.
great. But on a very serious note, I urge all of you dads specifically, actually, and maybe specifically if you have boys, regardless if you have boys or girls. We both have girls. You also have a boy.
Mm-hmm.
I do encourage you guys to dive into this guy's work.
His understanding
because,
of masculinity is
you know,
a unique take.
It's so important.
And
man.
even calling it that, I didn't want to say masculinity because he would say don't. As soon as you put a label to it, you kind of messed it up. So it's pretty powerful. Right? Pretty powerful.
It's powerful, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm totally like.
Yeah, I'm
reading
down
it.
to get into that book.
Yeah, when I finish it, I'll pass it on to you. I can get my list of books.
Man, so I have I'm starting this, but then I have Ray Dalio, and then I have another book that I'm like halfway through.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go cover to cover on this, and then I'll jump back into some of the other
That's
shit.
what it is. It's never ends. Right.
Never ends. Gotta grow the mind, beautiful people, just like the body. You ready, babe?
Ready.
Boom. Thank you guys.
Peace out.
Did we cover all the shit?
I believe so.
We'll find out. Hold on.
We didn't. It's too late now.
Yeah, we got it all. We're good.
We